Trump did an amazing thing. He killed Soleimani. People, you don't agree?
No, I agree.
Okay.
I think that, some people would make
Yeah,
that face.
yeah. I think people in America don't get it. Don't
Yeah.
get how huge of a threat he was to world peace.
Just now in the
to
Democratic
Americans.
debate, they basically asked all the candidates, and they were all like, "No, I wouldn't have done that."
What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Okay, so Trump killed Soleimani and did a huge favor to the world and prevented countless deaths by doing that. And Iran had to retaliate, right? Because of their honor and stuff. So they sent missiles to American bases, remember? A base in Iraq.
Yeah.
And Trump really wanted it to be not a big deal.
And they said because of the early warning systems, we
Yeah.
managed to avoid it.
No Americans were... I heard that no Americans were injured, right? When you Google Iraqi attack, Iranian attack, Iraq base, American base in Iraq, you read that since then it has been published very subtly that in fact 64 American soldiers were wounded. Did you know about it?
In what way?
It's pretty vague.
So 64 wounded soldiers in the Iraqi...
64 American soldiers were wounded in this missile attack by Iran.
How?
Brain injury.
So concussions and that kind of stuff? You don't know.
It's vague. No, they don't tell you. In the articles, they don't elaborate, which makes it even more conspicuous.
You love these conspiracies.
Listen, it's...
You really think it's like
They
a...
tried to silence it because they didn't want to
first of all,
start
it's
a
awful
war.
if U.S. soldiers were wounded. That's very
And then they
bad
silenced
and
it
unfortunate. And if they
to
silenced
prevent
it,
a war with Iran, apparently.
You think that's why they're keeping it on the low? Okay.
Trump said, President Trump said that it's not about the injuries. It's not a big deal. But then the numbers kept growing. In the beginning, it was 20 wounded. Now it's 64 wounded from brain injuries.
Really?
So pretty awkward. But I just wanted to say, I think it was a really great thing.
Yeah.
To kill Soleimani.
People underappreciate, like, they underestimate what kind of a threat he was to. I mean, this is the guy that was basically in charge of all the money that was being siphoned
That's modern
off
Hitler.
into- Yeah.
Opposing his death, it's not unlike opposing killing Hitler in 36.
I don't know if the compare. I mean, yeah.
It's
36.
as close. It's
Okay,
as
yeah.
close as it gets.
Pre-Holocaust.
Yes, it's as
Okay.
close as it gets to Hitler. So, that's how bad is it? He was how bad of a person he
in
was.
spirit, he's like, if he had the chance to round up all the Jews and put them in concentration camps, he wouldn't.
But he
wouldn't
also
blink.
has a blood of hundreds of thousands of innocent
that's
people.
what I think is more important. It's not like kind of his ideology; it's his actions.
Yeah.
He's the guy who is in charge of funding all these awful organizations. These terrorist organizations. And
It's not only funding. He managed it.
He plans these attacks.
Yeah.
He's the guy who's in charge of the logistics, figuring out how these attacks are actually going to happen, ordering them, and carrying them out.
I was infuriated. I heard Joe Rogan on his podcast. He was like, "Why did we have to do that? Like, what do we have? Like, what does it have to do with us, Iran?" Like, what do we care about Iran? It's so far away.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, what people don't understand, not unlike Hitler. Again, why did the Iranians do it? We talked about it with Professor Shifton.
Yeah.
But the Iranians have one ultimate goal. They want to export the revolution, vis-a-vis dominate the world.
Yep.
They want to dominate the world. Mm-hmm. So
global domination.
So America is a part of the world.
It's like all those really bad action movies you saw when you were a kid, where the villain has
Pinky in the
global
Brain.
domination like as their goal, right? It's like, why are they bad? Because they want to dominate the world. It's like an easy way out of like coming up with a complex,
Right.
character-rich villain. You're just like, oh, he wants to take over the world and kill everybody. So that actually exists, and it's Iran. Like they really do. They want to take over the world. They want to start with the Middle East.
Yeah, you start with the nearby,
Yeah.
but then you move on.
Yeah.
And they want to kill you, Joe Rogan. Here's the thing: you got to realize they will if they get the chance. And if they won't kill you, they'll kill someone you know or someone you love.
But I think if if I had to put myself in Joe Rogan's shoes and retort, I think the thinking there is that like, okay, it's choose your battles, right? And that's what I think the thinking is. Like, oh well, why do we have to do this now? Is it timing? And then you start getting into this whole cynical thing where you think that every time a politician orders a strike or like today, politicians, leaders, heads of state, they don't function as leaders. They don't function as decision makers. Everything they do, we've become so cynical that everything they do is like just some ploy to get them reelected, right? That's what I think a lot of the mainstream media, that's kind of the perspective they've pushed. They're doing everything just to get reelected. Right. And I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm just saying that's the point of view that's being pushed. So you see that Trump does it, and you're like, well, why did he do it now? Maybe, he's just trying to gain support. But you have to remember that these people actually run states, meaning they manage global international relations. They have to make decisions.
Also, it's a part of a very, very organized ideology. Like Trump opposed and fought Iran from the get-go.
Yeah.
So it's just another step in his game.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.